hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving week. Last Sunday, it was our Rise Up Sunday. We had our children and the youth leading us in worship once again. And after worship, we had a fellowship time in Cedar Hall. Our brunch that we celebrate all the birthdays of the month, and it was wonderful. I just want to thank you all for your help and support and your participation in this whole process and in these tasks. I really appreciate you all. And we had a special sermon as well, trying to discern the importance of sharing and the importance of being thankful. I do hope the message was a blessing for all of us who are here, for those who were able to watch online, live. And I do believe and hope it will be a blessing to you as well as you watch it now.
Okay, kids, I need your attention, please, because I have a few questions for you. First, the most obvious one. Do you like toys or games? Yes? Okay. Do you like giving your toys away to people? Yes and no. We got mixed answers. Good. What about sharing your toys? Your favorite ones? Yes. She's an angel. She's an angel right there. We have an angel in the room. Okay. You know why I'm asking this? Because usually it's really hard for us to share our toys and to let people play with our toys, our favorite ones. And one of the things that I've learned, a phrase that I've learned that is nice, is the one we're using for the sermon. Sharing is caring. It's a nice phrase. It's a nice value. Hard to practice. Really hard to practice. We tend to like our things and it's ours. Nobody touches it. I used to say musicians, for them, their instruments, they are like toothbrush. Only them can use. Nobody should touch my instrument. That's the feeling. I don't know if Ron has the same feeling about drums, but I've met a lot of musicians that are like that. You don't touch my thing. You don't touch my instrument. You're gonna ruin it somehow. Although it's just an instrument, and they play the same chords, but anyway. Sharing is not easy. But I think the story that we're telling today, I don't know if you paid attention to Carly's reading. Thank you so much, Carly. You did great. It's a moment that Jesus is in a mountain with a lot of people following Jesus, okay? And Jesus gets concerned because, like us, we get hungry, right? When pastor is taking too long to the sermon, we are hungry. Say, get up, finish it. I want to go have lunch. So Jesus was concerned, and then he said to his disciples, according to John, he said to Philip, okay, go to the next town and buy some food. We need to feed these people. But John says that he knew what he was doing because he knew they would not be able to find food for all of them. This is interesting because I think this is the only story that is in the 4 Gospels. This is the only miracle that is in the 4 Gospels. There are some stories that are only in 3 Gospels and things like that. Just trivia situation here. Trivia questions. But John takes a different approach to it. He's the only one who said he knew what was about to happen. He knew what he was about to do. And then, of course, there's no enough food for everybody. They have some bread, they have some fish. One boy had that. And Jesus said, just take the basket and share it. And funny enough, they were sharing that basket, and people would pick up bread and fish, and pick up bread and fish. And at the end, they had leftovers. So this is a huge miracle, right? Now, if you don't believe in miracles, that's okay. Some people who don't believe in miracles, they will say, you know what? As people saw that, they saw that little kid willing to share what he had, the small portion he had. And because he had this willingness to share, everybody said, oh, by the way, I have mine. And then they began sharing as well. And we call that kind of the kindness effect, right? You show kindness to someone, the person who receives kindness is more likely to share kindness later. And then it becomes a chain of good actions. And this is amazing. So whether it was an amazing miracle, as I believe it was, or it was just a spark of generosity being spread out, the point is that people left that place with their belly satisfied and with a clear notion of who Jesus was. Jesus was the prophet that they were waiting for. Jesus was the king that they were waiting for, and they wanted to make him their king. But what I want to focus with you today is the kindness effect. I experienced a special type of kindness in Kentucky when I lived on campus as an Asbury student. Why? Because as an international student, as you might guess, I was broke. We were all broke. Because, I don't know if you know this, but international students, they cannot work freely. Their spouses, they cannot work at all. So we depended on donations coming from Brazil, and of course, after 1 year, they couldn't send anymore. But God provided, and in many different ways. But I want to focus on one. That was the first time we've heard of spring cleaning and maybe fall cleaning. There's some other expression. But basically what people would do is they would organize their house during springtime and get a lot of things they had extra and donate to a thrift store at the Methodist Church in Wilmore. Really good things that they would select and keep only the good things. So I would buy Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren clothes by $1, $3. You know, especially during winter, I needed good jackets. I'm from Brazil. We don't get snow at all. So that was a lifesaver for us and for many, for the whole community, because Wilmore is not a big city, it's not a wealthy city. But people were sharing that to a point that even though Thais and I, we didn't have much, every single opportunity we had to share, we would go to that place. We could give to anywhere. We could do garage sale. We decided, no, we're going to give back because we received kindness from people who donated that. And turns out, just to give you an idea, that church would, by doing that, by having that, they would provide something around $35,000 a month in help for people. They would help people paying their electricity bills and water bills, even rent. I received that help for rent once or twice because they had a policy, of course. You could not go there every month. You had a, you know. But the point is, a real, consistent, tangible expression of kindness, of goodness, and that spread out throughout the community. So when people ask me, where do you like better, Kentucky, Miami, or Margate, I keep saying, I like them different because they had different impacts in my life. And the kindness and mutual support, community support that I found in Kentucky was unique to this point. It was essential to my life, to my family. I could give more and more examples. Give one more. That impacted us particularly at some point. But the city was so small, I told you that already, right? Wilmore, one gas station, one headlight, okay? 2 or 3 restaurants, that's it. The fire department had 5 workers. Only one was on staff, the chief. Everybody else, they were volunteers. And guess what? They were firefighters in different cities around Wilmore. So once they came to the seminary to talk about, and of course to raise some funds as well, to help them, and somebody asked the question, why would you spend your whole day working as a firefighter 30 minutes, 40 minutes away from here? And when you come back, you get a cell phone, and you are ready the whole evening to a call and to help people. And the answer was just amazing to me. He said, I would like to think that when I am away at work, if something happens with my family, my neighbors would help them. Kindness. Sharing is caring. Jesus performed that miracle because he cared. Some translations will say that he had compassion on those people, thinking they will be hungry, they need to be fed. And out of compassion, out of kindness, they provided something for them. And we do what we can, right? To model that, to follow that example. We had a Thanksgiving dinner. I just want to thank Tim, Sheldon, and everybody who was involved. Because most of them, they could have stayed at home. They could have done like I did. Go out somewhere, different city, and rest that week. They decided to be here, no need at all, to offer a space of fellowship, friendship, and kindness. Sharing is caring. And I hope we all, not only the kids, will have this value of sharing. It's not easy, but it's lovely. It is amazing. I'll mention one more example. That is this church, I forgot the name, in Louisville, Kentucky. A small neighborhood in Louisville, Kentucky. They were concerned as a church that the level of poverty around them. For years, they've tried to encourage people to become business owners. They created a group. They have a fancy name for it. You know when you offer trainings and guidance so people can become business owners? They were like consultants for free, hoping that the community would engage. And after 10 years doing that, they decided to open their own business. They call it The Table. Business, right? Because it's a nonprofit, right? The Table. It was a restaurant. So this is what they did. They decided to offer organic food, burgers, basic American food, burgers, fries, and drinks. But what they did was they made a decision to buy only locally. That's why it was organic. They would find the farmers around them to buy the lettuce, to buy the tomato, to buy the onions. And they did an amazing organic meal for $5 only. One, they wanted to encourage business owners, local business owners. Two, they wanted to be able to feed those who are hungry. And three, they wanted to engage people in community life. So the table, I hope they're still open after COVID, I don't know. But the model was amazing because you could go to that place, buy your burger, your combo for $5, and they would present to you the ethos, the ethics of what they were doing, the mission. And some people would respond by, you know what? When I go to McDonald's, it's about $10, $15. Here's $10. So if someone comes hungry, just give them. And that was one way they would pay. And that became a kindness, a chain of kindness effect. It was common. Oh, I'm here to buy a burger. Oh, somebody already paid for you. Oh, then I'll pay for the next one. And that was it. And the thing, it was growing and it was growing to a point that the last time I've heard of them, they were already not transforming, but they were helping I don't know the polite way to say it, the homeless community to transition from homelessness to a better life, because they would provide, they actually had a shower there, and then they provided training, and then they had cooking classes, serving classes. So at some point, people from the homeless community, they had a job now, and they began a whole process of transforming that area, that community. And I don't know about you, but that inspires me quite a lot. Because I believe that sharing is really caring. Sharing our gifts, sharing our talents, sharing our time, sharing our hopes, sharing our dreams, sharing our energy to transform the world, to transform our families, to transform our neighborhood. And with God's guidance, oh my gosh, it's like eating good food all over. It should be easy. And there's one last thing that I want to share with you about this passage. When we read verse 23, just to give you context, you have the sharing, the multiplication of bread and fish. Right after that, we have the story of Jesus meeting the disciples in a boat by walking in the water, another miracle. But on verse 23 it says, "Then some boats from Tiberias landed near the place where people had eaten the bread after the Lord had given thanks." I just want to ask to pay attention to these words. Because, okay, I'm going to ask the kids now. What would you do if you knew that Messi would be here? You want to ask for a picture or something? Well, what else? LeBron James. Get a hug, right? You want to touch him, right? You want to see him close by and touch him, right? And what would you say to your friends? Shake his hand. What would you say to your friends the following day? You said, Messi was in my church and I hugged him. Huh? Right? LeBron James was in my church and I heard him. It was awesome. I wish he would come. My point is, after that miracle, people were coming, hoping to meet Jesus once again. And people were standing on that place because that was this is the place where the miracle happened. I want to see it. I want to be there. Don't we do that a lot when we travel? We do that. Oh, someone did this here. I want to see it. They're not there. You're not going to see what happened that day, but you want to be there. But John describes that place like this: the place where the people had eaten after the Lord had given thanks. He doesn't say the place where the most amazing miracle happened. He doesn't make a fuss of it. Why? Because what happened is not more important than who did happen. Jesus did happen, and he is the most important one. Because Jesus were there, they had enough to eat. And what Jesus did, was it a miracle? According to John, he just said thanks. And that reminds me of you, Ron. Because when we have conversations about prayer, Ron keeps saying, you know what? I think we should be more grateful and we should say thanks more often. I don't know the mystery involved in that. But I do know when we have a thankful heart, when we live a life of gratitude, somehow we experience more things in life that make us more thankful, that give us more gratitude. Or if you want to say good vibes, invite good vibes. Whatever word you want to use. I just want to invite you all to consider these two things this morning. I know life is hard. I know we don't have enough. But I also know we can share more. I know life is hard. I know we don't have enough. But we can find more gratitude in our hearts for what we have. And I think as we do it, we will experience more and more of God's goodness, of God's grace, and of God's love. Praise be the Lord. Amen.